going on, guys? This week I've been driving the all-new Solterra. It is Subaru's first ever all-EV vehicle. It's essentially a collab with Subaru and Toyota. We're going to talk a lot about that during this review and what's different, but let's get into it. So the Solterra comes in 3 trims, including the Limited, the Premium, and the Touring. At the top of the line, this is the Touring. All trims are all-wheel drive. Because this is the Subaru variant, the Toyota variant does have a front-wheel drive. So a lot of the differences between the trims are cosmetic, including the wheels, which again we'll touch on in just a second. Let's take a look at the exterior design. First, let's quickly touch on the color here. This is the Harbor Mist Gray Pearl. It is the 2-tone, which is a premium option for the Touring. So you get a black roof, basically. At the front, we have Subaru's signature hexagonal grille, which has been tightly integrated with the front fascia. We have the standard multi-element LED headlamp, which includes automatic high beams. They are thin and wide LEDs, which complement the design motif. A low hood line also contributes to the SUV's sleek styling, aerodynamic performance, and excellent forward visibility while retaining pedestrian impact safety. On the side, we have short front and rear overhangs, very bold wheel arches with plastic cladding, and Subaru is adamant that this is an off-roading vehicle and can be taken out on trails. It does have an 8.3-inch ground clearance. We do have Subaru X mode, which we'll touch on as we get inside, but that beefiness and cladding from the side are supposed to emphasize its ruggedness. Our wheels are the 20-inch wheels, which are an upgrade for the Touring model. You can also get these on the Limited trim. The aerodynamically sloped rear glass has a standard ducktail spoiler at the bottom, and on the higher trims like this Touring, we have the dual spoiler at the top. It's definitely a unique look, but serves 100% for aerodynamics. At the back of the vehicle, the rear combination lamps are positioned high with a trapezoidal theme that strengthens the design. You can see the Subaru badge and the Subaru nameplate with symmetrical all-wheel drive here on the driver's side, and the Solterra badge and Touring EV here on the passenger side of the rear. So the Solterra is definitely a awkward looking, different looking crossover, all EV. Obviously, it's just rebadged from the BZ4X from Toyota. You see a lot of the same characteristics in the body style, including that split rear wing and this funky front fascia. We'll see more of that inside as well, which we're about to get to. But overall, I don't hate the design. I think it's a decent looking design. Definitely different than a lot of other things that's out there, so I can dig it. Let's go ahead and pop the hatch and take a look at the cargo volume that we're rocking here, and then we'll move into the inside and start talking about the rest of the interior. All right, so coming around to the rear, there is an easy button to pop the hatch. It is power lifting, at least here on the top of the line trim. And you can immediately see that 29 cubic feet of cargo volume, plenty for hauling just about anything that you need for a camping gig, camera equipment, anything that you need. The back seats are 60-40 split, so you can fold them down and increase that cargo volume. You do have a dual floor, so you can lift this out and lower it down to give you a little bit more height. Or you have a little cubby here that you can store the charger in. And you can see here we have the rubberized floor mat back here that protects that carpet, and a bit of a shade that will protect your cargo. You can also see back here we have a Harman Kardon speaker. That's part of the Harman Kardon audio system that we'll check out inside. But other than that, pretty standard. Let's go ahead and move into the driver's seat and start talking about the rest of the interior. All right, guys, we're here inside the Solterra. We're in the driver's seat. The interior here is pretty nice. We do have some nice seats, big bolstering, fake leather, obviously. It is a blue and gray interior. Rear seats, really big, really nice. The kids road back there 3 wide, and they complimented it on how nice and spacious it is back there, especially with that flat floor. Always great for an EV to have a flat floor. But here in the driver's seat, still very spacious. Lots to look at. So let me turn you around and we'll get looking. So let's go ahead and kick it on. It is obviously push button start. And you've got all the Subaru stuff kicking into life. And the first thing you should really notice is this is very Toyota-ish, very Toyota looking. Everything from the steering wheel to the driver information screen to the screen and infotainment system itself is all Toyota. Gear shifter, Toyota. So if you've been in any modern Toyota these days, you probably have seen very similar, but with Toyota badges and logos instead of Subaru. The steering wheel is the same that you would get on a Prius. Again, same with the driver information screen. Pretty much any of the new Toyotas have the same screen here and infotainment setup. And Subaru says that it is an all new setup for them, but of course it is because it's not their setup. But as it goes, it's a decent enough infotainment system. It is a 12-inch screen, so it's nice and big. I do have my gripes with Toyota's system, but those are going to be left in Toyota videos. You do have some buttons down here for your heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, and AC and heat controls. That push button start that we have. Very gloss black materials for your center dash. You do have physical buttons here for things like your X mode, which we'll talk about as we drive modes, which we'll talk about. You do have a button for your 360 camera. So when you push that, you get a full 360 view around. Gear shifter, you push down and over for reverse, down and over for drive, and push in for park. We'll go ahead and put it back into reverse, and I'll show you that 360 camera that we have here with the backup camera. And the chime that we have right now is constant as it's in reverse. So let's put it back into park and shut that up, because along with all the Toyota niceties and safety, you do get a lot of the annoyances and nannies, including this LiDAR system that monitors your driver attention and will warn you if you are not paying attention to the road. This little cubby here can charge your phone, wireless charging. You have a USB Type A for interfacing with Apple CarPlay. Down below you have a USB Type C for charging, plus an accessory 12-volt charger. We do have cup holders, armrest that slides back and forth and opens up with a pretty decent amount of space. The overall materials and aesthetics that you get in here is pretty decent. This is a cloth material here on the dash. And like I said, we do have a Harman Kardon audio system, which sounds pretty good. And then our rear view mirror here does show the backup camera. You can flip it down and get the actual mirror, but I actually prefer seeing the backup camera these days. And then again, we do get a panoramic sunroof here with power shades, which is nice to have. All right, with that, I think that's good. A look around the interior. Let's go ahead and get it out on the road, start talking about the drive. Then we'll pull over, talk about the price, and I'll jump out and talk about my final thoughts, the competition, and kind of wrap this thing up. But let's keep this thing progressing. So obviously, being an EV, the Solterra is really quiet, and even on rougher roads, the road noise is kept to a minimum. I really enjoy being in and driving this vehicle. Unlike the Ioniq from Hyundai, the Subaru doesn't have an audible drone while going slower or completely stopped. That's a safety measure from Hyundai, and again, this doesn't have it, which I'm on the side of having your vehicle have as little noise as possible. So I quite enjoyed the Solterra here. New for 2024, Subaru has the EyeSight driver assist technologies inside the Solterra. This gives you the radar guided cruise control, the lane keeping assist, and different driving features. And all in all, Subaru's EyeSight works really well. The EV range is 220 miles, up to 228 for the base model here. The motors push out 215 horsepower and 249 pound-feet of torque, and that is a combined number. Each motor does about 107 horsepower. The motor is based on the 2X Blue Nexus E axle. Again, this is a collab with Toyota, and you do have a motor per axle, which gives you the all-wheel drive system. For 2024, we do have improved charging performance for the high-capacity lithium-ion battery. It charges from 10 to 80% as quick as 35 minutes. And you can charge it just about anywhere from a level 2 AC and DC fast charging capability. With DC fast charging, the Solterra should be able to charge up to 80% total battery capacity in about an hour. So just over 200 miles. It's not great range in the Solterra. Of course, it got me everywhere I needed to go for the week, and I did charge it every night at home on a 120 outlet. But there are a bunch of places, especially being in Texas, where you can take a 3 to 4 hour road trip, and this thing is not going to get you there. You will have to pull over, find one of the fast chargers, charge it for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the speed of the charger, and then obviously charge when you get to your destination and do the same thing coming back. And that's not necessarily to say that that's much different than any other EV on the market, but a 200-mile range is a lot different than the 300-plus mile range that some other EVs are offering. You do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel, which will adjust your regenerative braking power, so you can put it into full regenerative braking and get that one-pedal drive feel. It's not quite as abrupt as some other vehicles that I've driven with one-pedal drive with the regenerative braking, but it works for what it's used for. It gets power back to the battery, and if you like it, you can put it as heavy as it goes, and if you don't like it, you can loosen it up. One of the other unique features on the Solterra is that it's equipped with Subaru's dual function X mode. So you get a snow dirt mode and a deep snow mud mode. The system also features grip control and downhill assist control for increased performance in low friction and off-road conditions. Now, I haven't driven this thing off-road. When I did get to drive the BZ4X, that wasn't off-road. That was only an on-road drive, and it wasn't the four-wheel drive version anyways. Knowing Subaru, this will do well. I'm really hoping it'll be at one of our off-road events soon. So if you want some off-roading footage, subscribe and stay tuned. Hopefully we'll get that for you. We also have just normal drive modes, which consist of a normal mode, a power mode, and an eco mode. And speaking of that power mode, let's check out the 0 to 60 here. All right, we just pulled onto a closed off back country road. Let's do a quick 0 to 60. Ready, set, go. $60. See how that goes in the edit. All right, and to wrap up the drive, we do have Subaru's active safety sense, which comes standard on all of the Solterras. And this just gives you a lot of the safety features, which are basically Toyota safety features. And overall, it's just a really great drive. I really like the extra ground clearance in this package. Having an EV that sits up off the ground that you don't have to worry about bottoming out when you're coming out of a driveway or something like that. Sitting up a little bit taller. It's a nice vehicle all around. Let's go ahead and talk about the price. All right, let's get through the price and we'll start wrapping this thing up. So the premium, which is the bottom trim, has a base MSRP of $44,995. So the cheapest you can get into a Solterra is about $45,000. That's the one that can get 94 mpge highway and 114 mpge city. So it's the same powertrain. It's still all-wheel drive, same battery and everything, just a little bit more efficient. Probably mainly comes down to the wheel option. The limited is $48,495, so it's just under $50,000, and the touring starts at $51,995, so it's just over $50,000. This one that we're sitting in has a full MSRP of $54,585, so $55,000. It's not terrible for the crossover EV market, and of course it is all-wheel drive and hopefully should be very capable. And to throw it out there, the BZ4X, the Toyota version of this thing, with the front wheel drive only has a base price of $43,000. So it's a couple grand cheaper than the cheapest option of this. And I'm not 100% sure on the tax credit and everything like that and how that affects the price. I do know that Toyota is close to, if not already, extinguished their vehicle count for the tax credit, because it's not just EV with them, their plug-in hybrids and hybrids also attribute to that. So Subaru itself might still have tax creditable vehicles, but with this being a shared platform, I don't know how that works. You're gonna have to talk to somebody maybe at a Subaru dealership or something for that. Let me go ahead and jump out. I'll give you some of my final thoughts and we'll wrap this thing up. All right guys, with that, let me give you some of my final thoughts on the Solterra. First off, I didn't really mention it so far through the review, but Solterra, Sol means sun, Terra means earth, sun and the earth, Solterra EV, that's where that comes from. Personally, I probably wouldn't go for this top of the line trim. I would be looking at one of the more base. The mid trim is probably the best bang for the buck, but even the lower end trim where you get a tiny bit more efficiency out of it could be better. Anything that you can do to keep it under 50 grand price tag, because once you hit that 50 grand and above, there are quite a few EVs now in the market that rival that. Personally, I really like the Ioniq 6 and Ioniq 5. Both of those I would consider probably before this. And if you're going straight for battery and range, the BZ4X that this is based off of has the front wheel drive version, which gets more range. That 220 miles has been plenty for me for day-to-day driving and getting to where I need to go, but definitely not enough for a Texas style road trip. If I was going down and seeing my family in Granbury, which is over 100 miles away from where I am currently, that would be a pretty tough thing to do, especially when they don't have a ton of great charging on their charging network. So being able to drive down there, have it plugged in for a little while, and being able to drive back, I could do it, but it would be tough and a lot harder than just taking a gas car, obviously. Like I also mentioned, this does have that faster charging than it had on the previous years, 10 to 30% faster. And I did drive the previous year BZ4X, but it was just at an event, so I didn't have it for a week. I didn't get to charge it. This I did charge during the week of having this. Every time I drove it, I pulled it home, put it on a 120 volt charge, and overnight I had it back up to 100%. Never had to really worry about getting it low. And again, that's not with a 240, that's with a 120. So take that for what you will. It did charge pretty quickly for me. I always had it up to 100% by the next time I was driving it, and it worked out well for me. Again, I don't necessarily understand the play from Subaru on collabing with Toyota and getting this thing out as an EV. I understand if they want an EV in the market, that's probably the easiest way to go, and it's just win-win for Toyota. But if you're a Subaru fanboy and you're looking for an EV, this is gonna work for you. With all of that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Solterra. Let me know what you think, where it fits in the market and on the price. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We do a different review every week. We're doing a lot of EVs too, so if you're into EVs, subscribe to the channel. Also go check out txgarage.com, where we've got a lot of written reviews as well as event and news coverage over there from a lot of great authors, not just myself. Really worth checking out, txgarage.com. With that, hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.